All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? How's it going? It looks like the beef has been squashed by Grant Cohn and Javon Kinlaw. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit of the whole situation that happened last night. I didn't get a chance to speak on it this afternoon. I spoke about it last night on Instagram with Smitty, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about OTAs and anything else y'all want to talk about. But I mean, the biggest news of the day basically is the whole Javon Kinlaw situation. Him and Grant Cohn, players reaching out and they had Javon Kinlaw's back. But apparently, Javon Kinlaw and Grant Cohn, as of right now, have squashed the beef. Grant Cohn was live, and he basically said that they have squashed the beef. So what's up? What's up, Pac-Man? What's up, Isaiah? Drew C, Bang Bang, YouTube gang. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate the support as always. Before we get started, do what you got to do. Like the post, subscribe, comment, help me out. We're just starting on YouTube, and it's an early start. It's tough when you're just starting out on a new platform, but got to grind just like I do on everything else, and we're gonna get to the top. So, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? Happy what's today? Wednesday. Yeah. How am I doing? I'm doing great. How are you doing? Today was spicy. Today was spicy. Oh my God, what a spicy day. You had players coming out for Javon Kinlaw, after last night. Grant Cohn, he was on live. We all know what happened. He was live. Kinlaw came out and he went off on him and he just, Grant Cohn poked the bear to the point where Javon Kinlaw was so frustrated, and he was like, "Look, man, I can't take it anymore." And he did what he had to do. He got to the point where he couldn't take it. He reached a boiling point. Whether he handled that the right way or the wrong way, a lot of people aren't happy with how Kinlaw reacted. You got emotions involved. He's rehabbing through a big injury. Mentally, that's tough on a person. When you're going through a knee injury and any injury in general, the rehab process is mentally grueling. I'm a physical therapist, by nature, licensed clinical physical therapist. I have my doctorate, and I've worked on a lot of patients, and I can see how the struggle is. And these athletes, they're used to being able to do everything. They're superhuman, in our eyes. When you see an athlete, they could do a lot that most normal people can't, right? So I think when they get injured and they can't do the things that they normally could do, they get frustrated. I think Kinlaw's been frustrated his career, because you have people doubting him, putting toxicity in the air and negativity. And again, he's had high expectations from day one. They traded away DeForest Buckner, and everybody expects him to be DeForest Buckner. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's not fair. But again, he is a pro athlete. He has a job. He has to go out there and be, held to a high standard. But at the same time, he's a human being, and I think that's what his issue was. Is I want to be treated like a human, and he said it at one point in his live last night. He goes, "You're treating everybody like animals. Come at it at a different way." I think he's just mad at how Grant, goes about his business. And the Grant, I got nothing against the guy. He's great at what he does. He's a great content creator. He has a lot of views, a lot of subscriptions. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to, work on social media. The guy's great at it, and he knew exactly what he was doing yesterday. But he poked the bear, and eventually, when you poke that many bears, one of them is going to come at you and come into your house and come for your neck. He's poked a lot of bears, Kittle, Deebo, Jaquaski Tart, Brandon Ayuk, a lot of players through the years. And finally, Javon Kinlaw said, "Look, man, this is enough for me to handle." So he went off on him. But hey, today, the resolution, I was going to get in here and talk a lot about that situation, but I guess it resolved. They squashed the beef today. Grant Cohn was just live. He is live right now, and he says that him and John Lynch and Javon Kinlaw basically sat down. Kinlaw set it up, and he talked to Grant Cohn. He told him how he felt about the situation, how he felt about Grant Cohn, and he expressed himself. And Grant Cohn said, he respects that, and it was facilitated by John Lynch. I think basically what happened was John Lynch was like, "Look, we got to get damage control. This is going viral. We can't let this happen anymore. We need Javon Kinlaw's mind to be in the right position." The players are pissed. The players had his back. Kittle came out. Deebo came out. Raheem Mostert came out. Dante Pettis, Brandon Ayuk, Dan Brunskill. A lot of players were Tabor Pepper. A lot of players were tweeting about it. We're talking about it. So I think the Niners saw it. They're like, "Okay, we need to nip this in the bud. We're just starting OTAs. We can't let this keep festering." So it was good to see that they squashed the beef. So that is nice. It was a crazy situation, man. That was wild. I've never seen anything like that. To see a player and a person in the media go at it like that, holy moly, man. And again, a lot of people are mad at Javon Kinlaw. He probably could have handled himself a lot different, a lot better, a little bit more chill. But the guy, he got his buttons pressed to the point where he was just frustrated. And when you get emotions involved, when you are mad and when you're angry and you have an argument with someone or you're a confrontation with someone, you're probably going to say and do stuff that's not, you know, the way most people, would intend you to say. They said act professional. That's just Javon Kinlaw, man. That's him. That's raw Javon Kinlaw, man. That is Javon freaking Kinlaw. That's who he is. You can't tell the person how to act. You can't tell a person how to control themselves, how to feel, how to talk. That's Kinlaw, man. And again, Grant Cohn, he's been calling him out, telling him he has 80-year-old knees. He's a bust. They shouldn't have drafted him. At some point, you know, that gets under your skin. It's tough. Athletes have a lot. They're under the microscope. And running a social media page, I see it every day. I see a lot of negativity, a lot of comments, people coming out of players, you know, um, neck basically for you not performing well. You dropped a pass. You dropped an interception. You fumbled the ball, and they come at them. And if they don't perform the way that players want or fans want, they come at them. So it's tough being an athlete. I sympathize for them. I see how tough it must be. They're under the microscope. They're getting paid a lot of money, of course, so they have to go and earn that. But it's tough. People are harsh, and in this fan base, we see how tough it is with the quarterback situation. Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, they've been under a huge microscope, and that's it. That's sports and media. The media and sports, when they collide, when athletes and media collide, it can become fireworks, and we saw that last night. But hey, the good news is it is finally dissipating. It looks like so. At the end of the day, I think we can move on from this. There looks like there's closure. Grant Cohn and Kinlaw squashed it, but it definitely made for a wild, wild night. My man, sad 49er fan, says there's never a dull moment being a 49er fan. That is absolute facts. I want to make sure that everybody sees that comment because that is the truest thing. Being a 49er fan is just the most roller coaster situation. It's up, it's down. You're happy, you're bad, you're sad, you're pissed, you're crying. Oh my God. Being a 49er fan is absolutely crazy, man. We've been in every freaking scandal drama. You got quarterback drama, you got a wide receiver drama, you got Javon. All the crazy stories seem to always revolve around the 49ers. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Um, let's see what some of these you guys, let's see some of these comments here. What you got to say? Oh man, what? So my man Daco, what did Grant say that pissed Kinlaw off so much? That's what Grant was asking. That started the whole situation. He was basically saying, "What made you so mad?" But then he rattled out a whole bunch of things. He says, "Was it the fact that I said you had 80-year-old knees? Was it the fact that I said the 49ers shouldn't have drafted you? Was it the fact that I said Tristan Wirfs, you know, should have been picked instead of you? Was it the fact that you're a two-down lineman? You're not a good passer?" He said a lot of stuff. And I think it's just accumulation over the time. And it's just Kinlaw was pissed off at this guy. Over the years, he's gotten bad press, from Grant Cohn. And a couple days ago, he posted a rehab video. And on the bottom, there was like text on it. I think I posted it to my YouTube. He says, you have bad knees, you have this, you have that. The doubters, he says, I'm coming for the doubters. He sees the news. These players, they see social media. It's not like they're blind to it. They see all the stuff every single day that's written about them. I think it just got to him. And again, he's going through rehab process. That's tough. Mentally, it is very tough going through rehab. And I think people don't always understand that. And I think from my perspective, being, physical therapist, I see that component a lot. When I see these players kind of tumbling and turning and sometimes they're not doing great. Sometimes I say, you got to think about the mental. Not a lot of people always think about the mental aspect of these athletes, but it's tough. It's like Marshawn Lynch said, you got to take care of your mental, right? Take care of your chicken. And, it's tough. Isaiah Adams says Brian Greasy was saying today he hasn't spoken to Jimmy yet since becoming the QB coach. Do you think that's because of his injury rehab or maybe waiting to see if they end up trading him or not? That's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both because Jimmy kind of doesn't talk to a lot of people during the offseason. He hasn't talked to George Kittle. He said that yesterday. The team has made it, pretty clear that during the season or the offseason, they don't speak to him a lot. They speak to him enough when they need to. They can, talk to him, but he doesn't talk to a lot of people. And I think Brian Greasy, too, he's going to respect him. He's going to let him do his rehab thing. Jimmy's not on site. He's rehabbing off site. And I think Greasy wants to make sure that he's there for, Trey Lance. This is the guy. This is the guy he has to come in and train and mold. And I think part of it, too, is also is he doesn't know what the situation with Jimmy is going to be. They said it yesterday. Kyle Shanahan basically said we still plan on trading Jimmy Garoppolo. So maybe Greasy doesn't necessarily know what that plan is. So right now, he needs to train who's in the building, and that's Trey Lance, that's Nate Sudfeld, and that's Brock Purdy. Those are the quarterbacks right now at OTAs, and that's who he needs to focus with. And if Jimmy wants to come calling and do what he has to do, he'll call. But Jimmy's expected to be there at training camp. That's what all the reports are saying. So we'll see what happens with Jimmy Garoppolo and this quarterback staff down the line. But right now, I think Greasy needs to focus on Trey Lance, and that's really what needs to go on with the rest of this team. Move ahead, move on. Trey Lance is your quarterback one, and I think he's holding it down. We've had 2 days of OTAs, and everybody's excited. We heard Jimmy Ward yesterday talking about Trey Lance and how excited he is, and how he's improved. He said it's 2 days, but he's making some good throws. So it's nice to see a lot of good publicity about Trey Lance. It's just been very good, news about Trey Lance. So, Main B, good afternoon, faithful fam. Good afternoon to you. Let's see. I got another question here. We got thoughts on Leon O'Neal. I love Leon O'Neal. We've talked about him many times. I feel that Leon O'Neal is the type of player that has that mentality, that chip on his shoulder, that dog mentality. He's going to come out and he's going to prove that, hey, guess what? I'm going to come out and be the number one guy. I'm going to be the safety that you guys need me to be. And again, he's undrafted. Not a lot of people are, going to know about. Not a lot of people know about this guy. He's, a guy that many fans wanted us to draft. But, the casual fans are probably like, who's Leon O'Neal, right? This guy's got that dog in him. He's been saying all the right things. I think he wants to prove himself. But again, this roster is not going to be easy to crack. You got 53 players. Only the best survive. The safety position, that battle is going to be tough. But I do love O'Neal. I love his mindset. I think he's a guy that could make it. Maybe practice squad. I hope he makes it 53. But you got to be the best of the best to make the 53-man roster. Safety, you have Odom. You have Tarvarius Moore, who's coming off an Achilles injury. So we don't know how good he's going to be coming off the Achilles injury, right? So maybe Leon O'Neal can surpass him. Odom was a special teamers guy. I kind of feel like he's a sleeper type player maybe, but it really depends because he didn't really get a lot of starting opportunities with the Colts. He was that Pro Bowl safety, special teams kind of guy. So maybe there's a reason why he was only special teams. We'll see how he goes through training camp. And then you got Hufanga. Hufanga last year was not bad for a rookie. Showed some flashes, good playmaker, and a little slow. Needs to work on coverage. But I think right now that safety position is Hufanga's job to lose. But don't sleep on a guy like O'Neal Jr. I think he could come in and impress these coaches. He's played great football at Texas A&M, and I think he was a very underrated player. And he's a hard worker. And he said it when he was live with me a couple weeks ago. He goes, I just want to make these coaches proud, and I want to impress them, and I want to do what's best and show the world what I can do. So I think that he'll make us all proud. We'll see, though. Let's see. My man Steven Reynolds, tell us your thoughts on Donovan West. That's another undrafted guy that I'm excited for, man. This guy was undrafted, Arizona State. This guy was a fourth-round grade. He had a fourth-round grade. Like, everybody thought he should have been drafted. I remember everybody was going, oh, we got to draft Donovan West. Got to draft Donovan West. And 49ers got him undrafted. This is another guy that I'm just like, oh, how the hell did we get him? How did we get this guy? He's so talented. I think he has some hand injuries here and there that could have dropped his stock. If this guy can be what he can be, his potential, he could be a starting center. We don't know what's going to happen to Alex Mack, although Kyle Shanahan spoke about it yesterday. He goes, he's out of the country. We have a good idea what's going to happen, but the fan, we don't know. As a fan, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. A lot of the writers don't seem to know what's going to happen with Alex Mack. And if Alex Mack retires, I think Donovan West can potentially be a starter. He's getting $100,000 guaranteed as an undrafted player. That's pretty unprecedented. A lot of those undrafted guys don't get that much money. So I think that they have high expectations for this guy. Again, he had a fourth-round grade. He could have been drafted. Solid player, good potential. Right now, the O-line is one of the big battles. We've talked about it. They have Jake Brendel, right, and Dan Brunskill. Dan Brunskill is dealing with some knee tendonitis. He should be ready by training camp. But right now, when you have a guy like Donovan West, who has all the potential to be a starting center, and then you got a guy like Jake Brendel, who we don't know if he's going to be a starting caliber center, and then a guy like Dan Brunskill, who's this Swiss Army knife guy dealing with the knee tendonitis, the door is wide open for Donovan West. into this 53-man roster. And if Alex Mack is gone, don't sleep on a guy like Donovan West. Although it's up to Kyle Shanahan to trust a young guy, a rookie. He doesn't always start rookies. He doesn't always play rookies, and he's undrafted. So he's got to kind of earn his stripes. But I love Donovan West. That was one of my favorite players in this whole draft. Not just undrafted. This guy was a solid pickup for us, and I was excited about that. So it was wild. Let's see this comment. It was wild. Javon was being bullied by Grant along with other players. Javon spoke. Yeah, we spoke about that a little bit earlier. I think that's definitely true. I feel like that's what Javon was getting at, that he was being bullied. And when you deal with the bully, you got to stand up to him. And the bullies don't like that approach. They don't like when you stand up to a bully. If you've ever been bullied and you stand up to them, they're like, oh, I didn't expect that, right? They don't want you to. They pick on you because they want control. But again, at the end of the day, they squash the beef, and let's hope that they move on from here and there's no more bullying. I hope Grant learned his lesson. He did speak on it when he was live. He says, this was a learning lesson for him. He says he, you know, understands a little bit more of where he needs to come from, in that standpoint. So I really hope that Grant learned, because he does bully a lot of players and he gets away with it a little bit too easily. And this time I don't think he walked away scot free. I think a lot of people realized, hey man, you can't be doing this to the players. But at the end of the day, Grant did kind of take a dub. He gained a lot of subscriptions today. He got a lot of views. He probably got paid a lot of money these last 2 days. So as bad as it was for Grant, again, I said it before, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. So the real news is Deebo back. Yeah, he followed me back, man. He reposted my post today too. So Deebo, I think Deebo will ultimately sign with the team. He's expected to be there at mandatory minicamp next month per Kyle Shanahan, and I think he's going to say the right things, do the right things, and the team's going to be impressed, and they're going to make a contract extension soon enough, maybe in July by training camp. But I think that they'll squash all the beef. People can move on. I think people can move on. It definitely was a tough situation with Deebo, but that was his first contract. This is his first contract negotiation in the NFL. Extension. He got his rookie deal. That's whatever. You don't really go and negotiate a big rookie contract. You get your rookie deal mostly, and then after that, you play your ass off and you earn your extensions. And this was the first time Deebo was in line for an extension. And he's got a tough agent too. His agent is not an easy guy. He's got a lot of clients. All the top receivers from the third year that have played 3 years are represented by Deebo's agent. He's got A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Hollywood Brown. All those guys are on his payroll, so he knows a thing about getting these guys paid. So we just got to be patient. Deebo will get paid. We'll see what happens. Let's see some more questions. My prediction for the cornerback roster: we got Jason Verrett, Ward, Mosley, Ambry, Womack, TCF, and Demo. Actually, it seems about right. I think that's pretty much who makes it. I'm excited for Charvarius Ward, man. I'm so excited for Charvarius Ward. This is my guy. I'm so hyped up. Every year, you guys know how much I want them to spend money on a cornerback, and they finally did it for me. They finally did it for me. So let's see. We got Michelle Livingston says, "Are you at a new place?" I'm not at a new place. I'm at my own place, but I got this they got this new office area in the complex. So I've been using this for my YouTube. It's my YouTube vibe. I don't know. Is it nice? Is it different? It's a little different than my normal space. I don't know how it looks, on video, but I've been trying it out here on YouTube. We'll see how it goes, from the year on. But we'll be moving in a couple months, so I might have a different space then. But for now, this is my YouTube office. I don't know. I kind of like it. A little different. Let's see. Any other questions here? Again, we've talked about Kinlaw. We've talked about how excited, this team can be. And I think Trey Lance is going to be a superstar with this team. He looks like he's come in and done the right things. He's saying the right things. Yesterday, his press conference was very nice. He sat there. He dropped the mic on the media. That was an amazing moment. That was an amazing moment. I love the way Trey Lance handles himself. Very humble kid. He's got a good mindset, and I think he's ready to lead this team. You could just tell the confidence in him, just the way he looks this year compared to last year. He just seems like he's even more comfortable and more confident. The players are hyping him up. I think they all know this is Trey Lance's locker room. And I think it's good that Deebo isn't at OTAs, that Trent Williams isn't at OTAs. Nick Bosa's not at OTAs. All those guys are not at OTAs, and I think that's a great thing. You know why? Because hear me out on this. The fact that those guys aren't there, that gives Trey Lance more time to build chemistry with the rest of this roster and kind of show his leadership skills. So when those guys come back, they're gonna be like, "Damn, this guy's impressive. Trey Lance is impressive. He's a leader. He's leading us, and he's gonna have command of that huddle." So when Kittle comes in and Deebo's there and Trent Williams is there next month, at mandatory minicamp, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Trey Lance, man, leader." And I think this is so good that some of these vets aren't there for OTAs. And again, vets don't need to be at OTAs. It's conditioning. We talked about this yesterday. This is great opportunity for Trey Lance to go out there and kind of make this team his right now. I love it. I love it. It's nice. Michelle says, I totally got in late. Has Deebo signed yet? Not yet. We're still waiting. Still waiting. Let's see. Anyways, yeah, so it's exciting. Tomorrow OTAs resume. We got OTAs for a couple more weeks, so we'll see. You want to be Grant? No, I don't actually. I want to be Raj Malwani. That's who I am. Don't want to be Grant. I don't know why I want to be another person. I am who I am. So appreciate the comment though. Do you think Kyle will finally unleash the best play calling since Jimmy is gone? That's what we hope, right? We hope that this play calling, expands with Trey Lance because we can see the offense with him be a little bit more dynamic, right? I think Trey Lance adds the deep pass. He adds the element of the run in the passing game. He can do the small little intermediate passes. I think that Kyle Shanahan, now that you have a guy that's more mobile, you have a lot more options, and you can throw on the run. You can extend the playbook, and I think that we will see a different dynamic. I think this playbook is going to be a lot just more. What's the word? There's going to be more diversity in this playbook than when it was with Jimmy Garoppolo. I definitely think that there's going to be some fun, but there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some learning. Trey's got to figure out how to sit back and read the defense and see where his comfortable spots are, see who he really trusts at receiver, and can he get good rapport with Kittle and all these guys, and then he has to learn when he can tuck it and run. He has to learn when he can extend the play, and then throw the ball. So there's going to be some learning, a big learning curve for Trey Lance. But I definitely think that this offense can be just crazy dynamic with him because you got to look at this. You have Deebo, you have Kittle, you have Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk and Trey Lance together, that's something that everybody's waiting for. They're absolutely excited to be, training every offseason together, and now they get the chance to work together. So I think those two, just those two themselves, are going to have like a whole set of plays just for Deebo or just for Brandon Ayuk and Trey Lance. Like he's going to be looking for this guy. I could already tell. Like they have great chemistry. And then when you add all the other wrinkles in, you got Ray McLeod, and it's not just with Trey Lance. You got Ray McLeod, who's a little bit of a weapon. You got Danny Gray, who's a speedster. This guy's going to add a big time threat to the offense. Take the top over the defense. Um, so it's going to be nice, 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 nice. And I definitely think that this offense and this playbook can be even better than it has been with Kyle Shanahan. You might be right. This is going to be the best playbook that we've seen under Kyle Shanahan. But again, it's only going to get better and better as Trey gets better. The better that Trey gets, the more experience that he gets, the more reps he gets, the crazier this offense is going to be. It's going to be fun, man. Again, you got players like, Ray McLeod that's added. They're going to have him in place for him. Danny Gray. And then you got to remember Juwan Jennings, man. People they're sleeping on Juwan Jennings. This guy was a dog last year. Third down, this guy was always money, always clutch, always extended plays, make it first down. Like he was a professional chain mover, red zone target, and now they added extra guys. And Brandon Ayuk, year 3, this guy is prime for a breakout. Excited. This is gonna be a great team. So Grant and Kinlaw already squashed beef. This page promoting beef. I already talked about that. So you're late to the show. We talked about how Grant Cohn squashed the beef, and we talked about that. So appreciate you again, B. We already discussed it, so you're a little late to the party. So don't talk about things that you don't know. So we already discussed that, my guy. You're a little late to the show by yourself. So see, we got any questions here? Take a couple questions here. But When is mandatory minicamp? That's a good question, Raul. June 13th is when mandatory minicamp starts. June 13th through the 15th. How do I feel about our DBs this year? Yeah, that's a good question. That's one of the groups I'm really excited about this year. I think our secondary depth is so much better this year than it has been in a while. Last year, unfortunately, Richard Sherman wasn't there. He left, so we were worried who's going to be that next guy. Then you had Emmanuel Mosley and Jason Verrett, and we were so excited about those two. And then Jason Verrett got hurt; he tore the ACL in week 1. And then you had Drake Kirkpatrick, Josh Norman. They were just signing bodies because they didn't have anybody. You had Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore, who was very, very young and still learning. They weren't ready yet. So it was a very tough secondary, but they still played fairly well. And all the credit to D'Amico Ryans and this D line, this front seven as well, that helped them out because they were pretty bad at times. They were letting up some big time plays, but I feel that overall that they improved towards the end. Like Ambry Thomas, when he finally got his opportunities, he really stepped up towards the end of the year. But this year, you got the addition of Charvarius Ward, you got Emmanuel Mosley and him. Those two guys are going to be a great duo. Emmanuel Mosley looks just so much, he looks bigger, he looks stronger, he looks like he's going to be a better version of himself. And this is a contract year for Emmanuel Mosley, so he's going to go out there and do his thing. And then you have guys like Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas in their second year, and they learned a lot last year. And now I think they're going to have more experience. And then the rookies they drafted, Castro and then Womack, those two guys look pretty solid. And then you got they got some veterans in the mix. Dante Johnson, he knows the system. He could slide in and play all over the place. So, and then Jason Verrett. If Jason Verrett can be healthy, can you imagine a secondary with Emmanuel Mosley, Charvarius Ward, and Jason Verrett? That's nice. That's money in the bank. So I am so excited about this secondary. That is probably my favorite group right now, and I'm excited about to see the camp battles and everything this off season. I'm super 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 excited about secondary. I've always been a big secondary guy, and I'm like I said, Charvarius Ward was just the pick that made me happy this offseason because every year I say spend some money on a secondary, spend some money on a cornerback, and they finally did, and I'm excited. I think the secondary room is so much better than where it was last year. They have a lot of youngsters, a lot of depth. I'm excited. So, how do I feel about our quarterback coach? I like Greasy. I think it was a good hire. He's been through the system in Denver. He has some experience with the Shanahans. He was not a horrible quarterback himself. I think he's going to be a step above Rich Scarlangelo. I was not a big Rich fan. I don't know. I just wasn't a big guy on him. So when he left as quarterback coach, I think it was a good thing for the Niners. They got to find a guy that's good for Trey, and we'll see. Again, we haven't really seen what he can do with Trey, and then if they have success, then that's a great thing. I'm excited. I think it's good sometimes to have change. I don't think our previous quarterback coach was too great. He was notorious for looking like Nick Mullins' dad. He was, Nick Mullins' dad on the sideline. That's what everybody called him. That's what his claim to fame is. So I think it's going to be an upgrade with Greasy out there as quarterback coach. But again, only time will tell. We'll see how it goes. We've only been in OTAs for 2 days, so we can't really sit there and be hyped about him. He hasn't really done much yet. But I am excited about the change, and I think it will be a good change. I wasn't high on Rich, so I think this will be a good change for the team. And I'm excited to see Trey Lance get to work with Greasy. So we'll see. I mean, and he comes from a great family. They've had quarterbacks throughout their lives. So I am excited to see what he can do with Trey Lance. I'm just excited for Trey Lance in general. And I think Shanahan knows the right guy for Trey Lance. This was the guy they drafted. They traded all that draft capital up to get Trey Lance. And now they have a quarterback coach they feel that is appropriate for Trey Lance. So I'm excited. I'm all aboard. So bigger role, Jawan Jennings or Danny Gray this year? Niners detail. What's good, my man? It's a good question. It's a tough one. And I know, like, I've been on live with Smitty a lot, and he's a big proponent of Danny Gray. He thinks he's gonna have a better year than Brandon Ayuk. He said that many times, and I'm like, oh, man, you got to chill on that because I think Danny Gray can, and I think he's gonna have a good role in this offense because of how fast he is and how much he could take the top off a defense. And you have to account injuries to the mix. Sometimes injuries will push a player up the depth chart. So I think Danny Gray definitely could be a guy that we're looking at and we're like, holy crap, 700 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, easy. But the thing is, John Jennings has played his ass off, and his first year as a rookie, he didn't get a lot of, he didn't even get to play because of the hamstring issue, so he was limited. Last year, we really got to see what Javon Jennings was about. He was a good red zone target. He was a safety net. He was a good blocker and a great third down receiver. And I think that blocking is what really is going to separate him. And Danny Gray knows. He said it in his interview when he got drafted a couple days after it. He says, no block, no rock. So he knows he has to be a willing blocker in order to get those opportunities. So he knows the vibe already. I think Jennings right now, if I had to take, gun to my head and take a pick right now early on, I'm going to say Jennings because he's been in the system a little bit more. He has a little bit more, burn in the offense. He kind of knows the ropes a little bit more, how to navigate around. He's been in the team. This is his third year, and it's a contract year for Javon Jennings. That's what people don't realize. This is Javon Jennings. He's a what do you got a tender offer. He wants to get big money. If he wants to get big money, he's got to go out there and put pretty good numbers out so he can get a extension or maybe a contract offer with another team, kind of like Kendrick Bourne, right? He was an undrafted guy. He came through the seed team with a couple of tender offers, and then once he became an unrestricted free agent, he got big money. And if Javon Jennings can have that, rise like Kendrick Bourne did a couple seasons, he'll take his money. Maybe he'll go. Who knows? But I think Javon Jennings right now is the safer guy to say we'll have a better season. Danny Gray's a rookie. We got to see how he acclimates to the team. We got to see how he does with the route. Is he going to be a willing blocker? So there's a lot for Danny Gray to learn, and Javon Jennings is ahead of him because he's played on the team just longer. So the safe answer is Javon Jennings. But do I think Danny Gray could come in and have a phenomenal rookie season? Oh, without a doubt. He could come in and have 700, 800 yards receiving easy. He has that ability. He can have one game where he just takes the top off of defense, big 70-yard bomb, another 30-yard bomb. That's 100 yards on 2 catches. He can have those games. But I think Javon Jennings right now, because he's been on the team longer, and he's that safety play when it's third down, 3rd and 8. You can get the ball to Javon Jennings and he's going to catch it. Such a good possession receiver. So that's the type of player you want to get the ball to on third down. And I think Jennings can be the guy. It's a good question. What's the status with Aaron Banks? So I heard today that they're definitely trying to look at him at left guard, and that's where we were talking about him during the offseason. I'm pretty sure he's going to take Laken Tomlinson's spot, or at least be given the opportunity to take Laken's spot. They've said good things about Aaron Banks. I think they drafted him with the future in mind, knowing that Laken would probably be gone the year after they drafted Aaron Banks. So he essentially redshirted last year, and now this is Aaron Banks' season, and I think this is the year where obviously he has to prove himself because they drafted him in the second round, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on the guy. But I think Aaron Banks will be your starting left guard. He's going to take over Laken Tomlinson. So you have Trent Williams and my man Aaron Banks on that left side. Left side, the best side, right? So I think he has a great opportunity being right next to the legend Trent Williams. Having Trent Williams on your left side to be a young offensive lineman is beautiful. It's amazing, and that's a great thing. And I think this is the best person to be training right next to. So left side, the best side, Aaron Banks and Trent Williams, and we know Aaron Banks is going to have a lot of pressure on him. He's going to have a lot of pressure. Again, he's going to have a lot of expectations because he's going to have to replace Laken Tomlinson. Laken Tomlinson didn't miss games, and Laken Tomlinson was a solid play. He can come in and he has a lot to prove. And Aaron Banks was drafted in the second round. There was a lot of players we could have drafted. We all know that. But I think they have a lot of confidence in him. And if they didn't, they wouldn't have let Laken Tomlinson go. So he definitely will have a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But I think Aaron Banks, right now, if I had to predict the roster down the line, he'll be your starting left guard. So let's see. We'll take 2 more questions, and then we'll probably wrap up this live show, and then we'll chop on Instagram in a little bit. I'll probably be live with Smitty tonight. We want to do a live show with Smitty. He's on live right now, and then me and him are going to go live. So we should have worked out with Laken. Yeah, that's the thing. We should have, but at the same time, we didn't have the salary cap. We knew he was going to get paid, and you knew you drafted a guy like Aaron Banks last year. I think that was the plan. They knew they were going to let him walk. And you can't just take Lakin and then what are you going to do with Aaron Banks? It would have been kind of a waste. So I think they have to give this guy Aaron Banks the opportunity to prove himself. It's just like Trey Lance. Now it's his turn to get that opportunity. Trey Lance has to play. Aaron Banks has to play. Sometimes you have to part with players to let the next man up go. And that's the Niners, philosophy is drafting these young players, developing them, and then, building a strong team through the draft. It's like a farm system. They draft these guys, they develop these guys, and then they become homegrown solid talent. They don't care about free agents most of the time because they know they can get a guy, draft them, and develop them. That's their philosophy. Some people don't agree with it, some people love it, but the Niners draft well and they develop these players for the most part pretty well, and then they become solid, starters or key contributors on the team. That's just the way they go. So. Anyways, yeah. Do you think Ross Dwelly can have a breakout season with Lance? He's a nice receiving tight end. I don't know. I think tight end is going to be a very interesting position. We talked about that the other day. They got Fumagalli. They got the other. Who's the other tight end's name they got the other day? The guy from he was on the Jets previously. What's his name? I can't think of his name. They just picked him up. The name's escaping me. You can pull up his name. They just got a veteran, and they have Charlie Warner, who's amazing. I love Charlie Warner. That guy's a great blocker. Of course, he's not the receiver, but he developed a little bit as a receiver. This is the guy, Tyler Croft. That's the guy they drafted or signed the other day. Sorry, his name was escaping me. Tyler Croft, and then they signed the guy Fumagalli a couple weeks ago. So they have a lot of competition in that tight end room, but I think Ross Dwelly's still better than those guys. I think that he needs a little bit more opportunity, like more reps. I don't know. I feel like people are kind of sleeping on Ross Dwelly. He's a guy that when George Kittle's down, he steps in and he plays pretty well. So I think he can have a better season, but my expectations aren't super high because we all know Kittle's the guy. He's the man, tight end one. Everybody else is just, an accessory. And if Kittle goes down, then yeah, we can talk about who's going to step in and be really nice. But I think if I had to pick the tight end room, it's way too early. I think you got George Kittle, you got Charlie Warner, and Ross Dwelly. Those are your three guys. Or Kyle Shanahan loves blockers. He loves the guys that can block. And I think that because Charlie Warner is a pretty damn good blocker, actually a really good blocker, he's learned a lot from Kittle. He's definitely making this team. That's the one thing. Ross Dwelly's not the blocker that those other, that George Kittle and Charlie Warner are. So if those other two guys that they sign can step up in the blocking game, then they might make it. They may make this roster. I'm going to tell you, tight end competition is going to be pretty nice this offseason. It's gonna be a battle, but we'll see. I think those three they'll make it. Again, I got my man George Kittle, of course, Charlie Warner, and Ross Dwelly as the three tight ends. So Alex Mack going to stay. If not, who do you think should replace him with? We talked about Alex Mack. I hope he stays. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Maybe Alex Mack, right? Ultimately, I think he stays. He's a veteran. He doesn't need to be there right now. He's chilling. He's out of the country. He just got married. He's relaxing. He doesn't need to, put all this stress on his body during OTAs and break himself down because he knows what he needs to do and be ready for training camp if he's going to be there. So right now, he doesn't need to be there. I think he'll be there at training camp. If he's not, I don't think we're screwed. We have some good options. I think Dan Brunskill can play center. I think Donovan West, the undrafted free agent, we talked about him at the top of the hour. He can play. And I also think that the Niners feel confident with those two guys to replace him with. So we'll see what happens. Definitely won't be an easy replacement. Alex Mack's he had a hell of a career. He's a great veteran. And it's not gonna be easy to replace a guy like that. But I think the Niners feel confident that they can because they believe in their guys. And that's what I think there is this coaching staff believes and whoever's on that field can get the job done. Now it may not be easy to me and you. We'd be like, oh shit, Alex Mack. But the team believes in who they have. They wouldn't be on the team if they didn't believe them. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting for sure. I'm excited. Tomorrow OTAs are back, but no media access. I hate when there's no media access. But it is what it is. It's fun when the media is there. We get to see a little bit more content. I'm definitely looking forward to more Trey Lance content. That's what I want to see. Any Any further thoughts here for the day? I think I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate the support on YouTube as well as every other social. We'll talk about more as the season goes on. I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate the support. Go ahead and subscribe, like, all that stuff. I hate to say that. I hate to tell people to like the channel and stuff, but you got to do it. That's what you got to do on YouTube. I'm learning. You got to tell people like the channel, da 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 da. It is what it is. I love you. Much love to you. Bang bang, Nana gang. More YouTube coming at you soon.